So I recently bought my first 1080p TV. Yeah, I know, make a what year is it joke, right? And the only Blu-ray I had lying around was my copy of The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. So to test it out, I loaded up Someday in the Rain, one of my favorite Haruhi episodes. I hadn't watched this episode since going shot by shot on Disappearance, and there's something I wanted to show you that I think is gonna blow your mind. In the scene at the club room after Kyon has successfully brought the heater back, there's a short shot where Kyon falls asleep and Yuki closes her book and gets up. Kyon then awakes sometime later, startling a Haruhi who is staring at him intently. He has two female cardigans on his back, one that is ostensibly Haruhi's, and the other that he attributes to Mikuru. It's pretty much a throwaway thing, as we're focused mostly on Haruhi's reaction and her display of affection there. But if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, Mikuru and Koizumi's belongings weren't in the previous shot, whereas Haruhi's were. Which means she had a reason to come back to the club room and the other two didn't. Which means the person who must have given him her cardigan was Yuki, in an uncharacteristic display of affection that goes unnoticed by Kyon. And whatever, right? That's just a small thing in this episode, and if you watched this through in 2006, you may have noticed that. However, this episode is the last one chronologically before what happens in the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, which we've been over. And then I ask you, what is the final scene in the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya that symbolizes Kyon's acceptance and recognition of Yuki as a character and a person? What symbolically goes on in that scene on the roof of the hospital? If you said Kyon gives Yuki his coat, then you'd be right. And you might say that, well, this could be something that was set up in the light novels and they just adhered to the source material. And you'd be right if Someday in the Rain wasn't an anime original episode. Which means that Kyoto Animation 4 years in advance loaded a Chekhov's gun in the form of the symbol of the overcoat that they then fired for a symbolic emotional payoff 4 full years later at the end of Disappearance. Now that is pretty cool.
But great job, guys! All ships open fire! Go out there and burn the enemy! Go out there and burn the enemy! Burn the enemy! The enemy!
The enemy!
The enemy! The enemy! The enemy!